Ready?
I mean, totally winging it, but yeah.
Yeah, winging it. Awesome.
Well, I pray for that. I pray for, even though we're winging it, that it is really excellent.
Of course it will be.
And
Yes.
just that we're bringing and exuding the truth of people getting help, and we know what to say so that the right people, we just attract the right people to hear what we need to say for them to get the most help that they can get.
Amen.
Cool?
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 31.
And I understand that other people have a real block in this region that were raised with the mindset as you go to your doctor first. But it's just a simple question. How's it working for you? How's it going? How many medications are you on? Do you expect at 45 to have to start to get on hormone replacement, or that you're going to have bad PMS all the rest of your life? Are you going to expect that? Are you going to expect that, well, I'm arthritis, that just runs in my family? Well, you know what? It doesn't have to be that way.
Well, Dr. Megan Saunders gave us a great idea a few episodes ago to take advantage of this gorgeous backyard that we have. We live on 5 acres just outside of Seattle, Washington, surrounded by a beautiful forest, but we have this gorgeous clearing and there's wildflowers everywhere, and the bluest skies you'll ever see are in Seattle, right?
Right.
And so we're going to take advantage of this beautiful day, and we're going to record this podcast out here. So you're going to hear the wind in the trees and the birds chirping, and you can join me in my backyard. Just take off your shoes, and like us, we have our feet planted in the grass. It's amazing how many years I went without even touching grass. It's just amazing how many years I went not even eating real food, not even getting nutrition. You know what I mean? And I thought I was healthy, and I think that's just the average Canadian, average American, average North American, you name it, average Australian. We're, not connected to nature. We're not eating whole foods. And I think our listeners are, because I think that they're more elevated. If you're taking the time to listen to a podcast called Learn True Health,
Right.
you're probably not at the McDonald's drive-in right now. But if you are, I'm not going to blame you. I'm just going to encourage you to eat whole foods. And my life completely changed when I began to get back to nature.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to give up meat, but that sometimes people, when they start getting connected to nature, end up becoming vegans. They're called to, right? So
some people are.
Yeah, and so here we are in nature, looking around, and we're really just in awe of the beauty. So Jennifer Saltzman has joined us again. Thank you so much. Your podcast episode where we talked about the power of prayer, as one of the things we talked about, ended up being one of the most listened to episodes.
Wow.
It was
awesome.
Very popular. It was the first episode to hit 1,000 listens, and it was just like right up there. It's still right up there. Among one of the most popular episodes. And I think that's because people are starved for nourishment.
Connection.
Exactly, yeah. And so there's in holistic medicine, we take into account that there's a mental body, an emotional body, a spiritual body, and a physical body. But we're really in mainstream media only taught to think about our physical body, right, and wait until we have symptoms and then give drugs to those symptoms.
Right.
And we're really taught to ignore our spiritual body and our emotional body, our mental body, or we're shamed into thinking that if we go seek help for our emotional body, there's something wrong with us, we're broken. Instead of let's get optimal. Let's get optimal health,
Exactly.
And even some religions or some divisions of religions don't help people gain spiritual health, but they have more suppression and structure. And so people are seeking nourishment in many areas of their life.
Definitely.
And fulfillment. And when you don't know the answers, there's a lot of confusion. So today, Jennifer, came here to talk about the confusion that people have around supplements, because I remember back, I was in my late teens, early 20s in a health food store, and I knew the concept. I knew the concept that supplements are healthy. And I remember standing there going, well, okay, there's 10 different kinds of vitamin C, and I know I need vitamin C. How much vitamin C do I need? Do I need it all the time? I mean, how many times do I take it? Of course, every bottle says take 1 to 2 or consult your physician. And so it didn't, it's like, well, but my body weight's different from that guy beside me who's 400 pounds. Should we take the same? And, you know, I'm a teenager, I'm in my 20s. Does a 20-year-old need the same nutrition as a 70-year-old? And so, and there's other vitamins. I mean, what other vitamins do I need? There's a B complex over here. But then there's these individual Bs, and then there's a D, and which form of D do I need? And then there's these minerals. I think minerals are important. Which mineral do I need? You know, and so there's calcium and magnesium, and is that all? Or how many minerals are there? And, and there are all these kinds of different brands, and of course, then you read the label, and it gets even more confusing because some have 50% of your daily value, some have 1,500% of your daily value, and you're wondering, which one's healthy, which one's not healthy. And then you look at a multivitamin, you think, I know, I'll take Centrum. Because, Centrum says I only need 1 a day, and it just completely eliminates the confusion, right? But then you look at the back and you see that the iron is iron oxide. And of course, none of us are really study supplements.
Right.
But when we go into looking into what iron oxide is, it's rust.
Right.
And there's no bioavailability. And what is the bioavailability of different kinds of calciums? Because even that alone, there's calcium citrate.
Sure.
And it has a completely different bioavailability to other forms of calcium.
Right.
And because calcium is often bound to other molecules, and our body has to break it down, and our body needs high levels of stomach acid in order to break it down. So you might take a calcium supplement or take your Centrum and think you're
getting something.
You're getting something. You took 1 a day, and then your body didn't digest it, so it didn't absorb it, and you just wasted 50 cents or whatever that was. But I remember being confused for many years about supplements, and of course the clerks at the store, you know, what do they know? I mean, sometimes they seem knowledgeable, but how do they really know what I need, what my needs are? What kind of research is backed by their supplements? Right. So many years I spent in confusion, and then I even went to a lot of doctors, bought their supplements, and I never saw a big difference in my entire. I mean, I believe in the philosophy of supplements because we're eating such a crappy diet as a nation, as a world. We are. It's really hard to get nutrition and make sure that we're getting optimal nutrition. And so it's great just to make sure that we are. And then on top of that, how can we guarantee that apple that was actually grown a year ago? Right. So this is what freaked me out about Washington State, which is where apples are from, is that oftentimes when you buy an apple, they're over a year old. Because the way they can store them, they can last. But there's no vitamin C left in that apple. Right. I mean, it might taste like an apple, but the second you cut it, the inside goes brown because there's no antioxidants left. And so that orange you're eating right now is actually from a completely different country and was picked, way too soon, or maybe it was grown among pesticides, or maybe that, strawberry is so chock full of pesticides, there's no nutritional value, and it's more toxic to eat it than good. And so we're trying desperately to get even selenium, a key mineral, we're trying to get from our Brazil nuts. But if the Brazil nut plant was not grown in rich selenium soil, it's not like plants make selenium. Right. And people go, oh, I drink milk, therefore I get my calcium. And yeah, exactly. But if a cow isn't fed enough calcium, and if the calcium wasn't rich in the soil that grew its feed, or if they didn't supplement properly that cow with enough with enough calcium, then we're left with not enough calcium in our milk. Right. And so I had all this confusion. And Jen, who's been on this path her whole life as well, she's been a Pilates instructor for over 20 years. She's been coaching people in gaining health and fitness, and also been on the path, the rigorous path to studying supplements and taking the right supplements and eating a very healthy diet. And Jen found a solution, and she's been helping. You've helped hundreds of people. I want to say thousands, but directly, you
Direct hundreds, and then they've helped, with their knowledge they've shared with family and friends, and sometimes those people will come back to me, and I think it's getting to be in the hundreds. I think it's getting to be in the higher hundreds.
Well, you also have a you have a full-time job. You take care of your family. You're busy, but on top of that, you've taken the time to help hundreds of people personally, one-on-one.
Right.
Get on the right supplements for them, and based on their body weight, based on their nutritional needs, based on the symptoms they wish to no longer have.
Right.
And so I invite you here to share about how to clear up the supplement confusion. And I'd love you to just start off by sharing some testimonials, maybe for people who don't believe in supplements who are listening right now.
Right.
Or maybe they're on the fence. They're like, I don't really need them. Because a lot of times people take a supplement, don't feel anything, so they don't think it works.
Right.
And that is maybe because the quality wasn't there.
Right. I mean, I think people we live in a society where you can click a remote control and the TV turns on. You go to your cell phone, you want your email, you get it. So we're in a society, particularly right now, where people want something to happen quickly. And if something doesn't happen quickly, they're on to the next thing, right? So one of the things that I have found to be such an incredible blessing with the doctor that I stumbled upon and the protocols that I work with is that within a very short amount of time, more times than not. Sometimes people take a month or two, but that's really rare. Most of the time, I would say within the first 2 weeks, people are starting to feel that there's something actually happening in their body where they are notably, feeling something different than what they started with. So, very common things that people will experience very quickly. The first thing I think on a more than not basis is more energy. Mental clarity and more energy, and just sort of feeling like, wow, I actually feel alive. I actually feel like, just a certain amount of clarity, I guess, that I haven't felt in a long time. Wow, I'm not getting hungry at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and going for the coffee and the donuts or whatever, sugar cravings I might have been having. I'm actually able to stay up and work a lot later than I have been and get a little bit less sleep and still feel really good. Wow, I didn't realize I just mowed the lawn and took my kids here and there and everywhere and done all these errands, and wow, usually I would be exhausted by now. These are the kinds of things that I hear really quickly and pretty much across the board on a short amount of time. The other thing that people report to me regularly is that just being on a basic protocol that is so comprehensive, and that's what I love about it, is like nobody has to think through, they don't have to be confused like you. Like the doctor that has put so much research into formulating this comprehensive protocol, which is so complete, right? It's like, like what Centrum is trying to be, but with that quality is completely unabsorbable. So the bioavailability, the research, the complexity, the thoroughness of the formulations, and the availability in the body, make it so people feel something very, very quickly. And people report to me often that without even trying, they've lost 30 pounds. Or without even trying, they've lost 20 pounds. I mean, and they're kind of amazed because they say, I didn't even mean to. I wasn't trying to lose weight. I like it, but I didn't mean to. And then those are sort of the very, very common things that we see. The things that happen with people in terms of pain management, not waking up with back pain on a regular basis, not even realizing that they were in pain sometimes. Like, wow, I used to wake up every morning with back pain. I thought that was just normal because I'm 50 or I'm 40 or I just had a baby or whatever the issue is. People start to justify or I don't know what the word is, but explain away why at a certain age my knees are just supposed to go out, or I'm supposed to be having terrible PMS because I'm a woman, or I'm supposed to be losing my sex drive because I just turned 50 as a man. I mean, we have all these belief systems that the drug society that we watch on TV teaches us, and you know what? That's not the way God created us to live. That's not the way the planet in its natural provisional state intended for us to thrive. we have provision on the planet for us to thrive and to live. Biblically, people lived into the hundreds, right? And so, and the people that the doctors that I've worked with and studied with have gone around the world and looked at cultures and looked at centurions. I think that's what they're called, centurions, where people live to be 120. And what are they doing? What are they eating? What aren't they eating? How much are they eating? And what's going on with the soil where they're living, right? And so the research around what's working for people to live a very, very healthy and long life, what are those key factors, and what are the what are the things that are consistent in those people's lives, and then done just an immense amount of research for years and years and years to come up with what the human body actually needs, not only to prevent disease, but to optimize health and well-being, to prevent all birth defects, to eliminate things of degeneration, arthritis and things like this. This is not a disease that people have to have. Things like that. So I hear people having joint and bone and joint better mobility and things very quickly. Those kinds of things, because they're getting the raw materials that they don't even know that they're missing from the food, because, as you mentioned, the source of the food is just literally not what it used to be. The way that we farm is not what it used to be. The way that we prepare the food is not what it used to be. It's just, things are so different in this modern, era of fast food and modern convenience, even of electricity, and what that has done to the way that we farm. And the way that people, are not getting the minerals in the soil the way that we used to, and all these kinds of things. Well, there's this whole domino effect, right, that affects us. And then when you take it generationally down, in other words, back in the parents' generation, our grandparents' generation, you start, it becomes depleted along through the generations. Because as you're not nourished as a parent, and then you're pregnant with your child, and the people's sperm counts going down all over the place. People can't get pregnant. Why? Because there's the basic building blocks of what it takes to produce life is literally been stripped out of our food, literally. And so it's really, really difficult to be healthy and well in this present day and age. And it is incredibly confusing to just walk in, like you said, to some kind of a supplement store and when you look at who owns Centrum, those kinds of things, when you realize that the companies that are, that are selling things like Centrum and these things, they're like drug companies, you know what I mean? They're mass produced. They're not at all in touch with nature and the actual science that goes into what it takes to take from the earth and compilate something that is truly designed to nourish, sustain, preserve, the human body that actually came from the earth, right? From dust we came and dust we return. I mean, that's the deal. So, the doctor that I work with and the programs that he's put together are just so brilliant, because it's all based on getting back to what the earth has provided for us to be healthy. And he has found a way to make this in a way that's so easy, so simple, because basically there's only 4 categories that we need to fall into or whatever. We can fine tune something to a person that is very, very simply. And so I am so blessed to have a tool to help people with, in addition to the personal training that I've done over the last 20 years in the realm of Pilates and spiritual counseling that I sometimes do, on a physical level, to be able to take care of their physical body so simply. It's been a revolutionizing thing in my own personal life and the life of my family, and I'm just so grateful to be able to have something so simple to help people with that really makes a profound difference in their life. Because if you don't feel good, that affects absolutely everything. It affects you emotionally, it affects you spiritually, you can't parent well, you're not a good spouse. It's just, and you talked about people walking around thinking that they're healthy and things like this. I've heard, the first thing that came to my mind is The Walking Dead. I know that's a little extreme, because when you're young, maybe you don't realize that, you have a certain vitality of life until a certain age. But unfortunately, the reason I say that is because it's actually an accident waiting to happen. When people are not supplementing in this day and age, it literally is an accident waiting to happen. And how many people do we all know that are going along all fine and all of a sudden there's a heart attack, there's a diagnosis of cancer, there's, oh, I'm fine, and all of a sudden a knee is blown out. Well, you know what? That didn't just happen. These are degenerative things that are in processes going on in the body because a lack of building blocks at the foundational level of our DNA that we need. And we have a propensity for certain diseases when we come into this world. We have a propensity towards certain things based on what we inherited. But the research has shown that it doesn't have to manifest. And in order for our DNA and all of that to work properly, we have to have these basic building blocks at a very foundational level. And so the doctor that I work with is absolutely adamant to say women who are in their childbearing years need to start supplementing way before they get pregnant. I find it to be somewhat heartbreaking that the answer is so simple, and it's actually not that expensive, and we have ways of working with people, even on a tight budget, making some changes, helping them on eliminating certain things that are making whatever they are doing worse, that are causing inflammation and oxidative damage in the body. We have very simple ways that are free, right, to help people get off of foods that are damaging to them on a pretty much across the board basis. And then we have, obviously, we one of the great things about why this is so successful is we do encourage a person that's 400 pounds to take more supplements than a person that's 100. We understand that a person has different needs based on their body weight, and that is brilliant. That's how animals are fed. Animals are not fed on age and that kind of thing. They're fed on their body weight. And it makes sense, that a person needs more nutrition. So we have ways of working with that, but we also have ways with working with someone who's on a shoestring budget, who just really needs to know that they at least need to be doing this. And everybody can be doing something, but if you don't do anything, literally, I hate to sound so extreme, but it really is an accident waiting to happen. Unfortunately, it is that severe. And I think people know that, but they don't know what to do. I think people know that there is a potential problem here, a major problem, but they are been so brainwashed by, well, just take this, drug if you get a problem, or have this surgery, and let's just keep trying to fix it that way. And it just, unfortunately, it's just, that is the main medical paradigm that so many people, unfortunately, are victim to. I just was working with a gentleman the other day, had the honor to try to help him. And, he told me that the doctor said, he's been getting cortisone shots in his knee regularly. Cortisone shot after cortisone shot after cortisone shot because he couldn't walk or whatever, and now he has type 2 diabetes. And did they tell him that was a side effect? Did they give him the choice? No, you just need to keep doing this. This is what works, and this is what we do. And I'm not against using cortisone as needed in a very short, as a matter of fact, my husband just had a cortisone shot and it worked great one time for a very severe situation that we supported with nutrition and other therapies. And that happened to be, the one-time thing that actually really helped. But you don't just keep doing that. You don't just keep taking drugs that are not designed to actually change anything in the body and expect that, you can do it, but you better dang well know that the results are statistically not very good. Chances are you're going to be on another 5 drugs to deal with the side effects of the first one. Why not do any of that and start on a nutritional program that's going to really foundationally make a difference? And you know what? People say to me, well, I don't have the money, or I don't believe it. You know what? I just say to them, why don't you just try it? And if you don't like it in 2 months, why don't you send it back and get your money back? Because if you don't try it, how are you ever going to know? And I understand, I have an advantage because I was raised with the mindset that, you go to natural things first. And I understand that other people have a real block in this region that were raised with the mindset as you go to your doctor first. But it's just a simple question. How's it working for you? How's it going? How many medications are you on? Do you expect at 45 to have to start to get on hormone replacement, or You know, that you're going to have bad PMS all the rest of your life? Are you going to expect that? Are you going to expect that, well, I'm arthritis, that just runs in my family? Well, you know what? It doesn't have to be that way. And that's the main message that I try to help people with. And you know, people are waking up to that. And it's you know, but there are a lot of people that I've helped that really want to help other people. And it's so wonderful that we have a program where that can help, where we can help people help other people. And I can help them get a little bit of teaching and a little bit of training that they can then go out and help with their friends and family. And I feel so grateful for that. It's set up so well for everybody to succeed. And I mean, that is just amazing, you know. Your doctor doesn't work that way. And at any rate, but I have people that come back to me and say, you know, I try so hard to help people, and their mindset is so stuck with, I'm going on the next arthritis walk, I'm going on the next cure for cancer walk, I'm going on all this stuff, and you know, they're doing all this research and they're doing all this stuff and they're spending all this money and doing all this stuff, but really the people who are promoting all of that, they don't want a cure for arthritis or cancer or anything else, because the industry is completely dominated by the pharmaceutical industry and the pharmaceutical lobby, and it's all a big money-making machine. So if somebody actually in 2 weeks reverses their diabetes or gets their blood sugar under control or stops having back spasms or loses 30 pounds, they're not going to go get their stomach cut, they're not going to go get their back cut or get another cortisone shot, and that market is closed. So I totally get that it's a financial issue, but it's an issue of awareness. And I think that's why, you know, you're doing what you're doing and you're getting the response that you're getting, which is awesome. People are tuning in, they're listening, and they're grateful to be able to have this kind of dialogue and free information to be able to, you know, make different choices that actually have a different result. And that's what we do. We get results.
I feel so blessed that we are making a difference in people's lives. We have had over 30,000 listeners, and
so amazing.
In just under or just around 2 months.
Right. Crazy.
And it's growing. It's actually, we're watching this hockey stick of a graph every day, more and more downloads. And I guess, you know, friends are getting something out of it and sharing it with other people. And I'm getting fantastic fan mail every week by people who are letting me know that they learned something really important. I learn some amazing things from every guest. I love what I'm learning from every guest. This is so much fun doing this.
Exactly.
And then I get to hear from other people that they're learning as well, and it's making a difference in their life. So what I love about Jen's program is that the program that Jen uses and teaches, and the supplement protocols, which are really easy because it's like a package based on the symptoms and the condition. Jen's program, very, very, I mean, program sounds way more complex than it is. It's not even a program. It's a very easy system and a package. And I was able to reverse my type 2 diabetes. I was able to get a strong handle on my chronic adrenal fatigue, which was just, I was going downhill fast, and reverse it and get it going in the positive direction, healing in the positive direction. My husband, who had chronic high blood pressure and like extreme high blood pressure his entire adult life, now is completely normal. 100%.
Without medication.
Without medication.
Right.
I should say this, of course, without medication. We have friends who have healed their arthritis. There's a woman that I know that 40 years old. I spoke with her about the protocol that Jen does, and she has had asthma her entire adult life, and she was the office manager of an MD clinic, and so of course her MD was her boss. So yeah, because she's right there, it's easy. Okay, give me a drug. Okay, thanks. Sure. And her asthma got so bad that she was unresponsive to the current medication she was on, so they had to put her on steroids. And because of the steroids, she gained a bunch of weight, and she was so upset. It's just like, she wasn't upset the fact that for the last 40 or 30 years she had to be on medication for asthma. She was
upset about the weight gain.
She was upset about the weight gain. So there's a certain point where where a symptom all of a sudden becomes not okay. All the other symptoms were fine because we were told that it's just the way it is. Maybe we're told, well, you were just born that way, or this is just genetic. And please, if your MD told you something you have is genetic, go to an ND,
Right.
because a disease shouldn't be genetic. It might be epigenetic, which is a different topic.
Right.
And we're going to have Dr. Wallach on the show to talk about what that is,
Excellent.
what epigenetics is. But she got on the protocol that Jen teaches, and within 2 weeks, she got off of the steroid, and in less than a month, she went to her doctor, which is her boss, who for many, many, many years, got off of all of her asthma medications, and she no longer had any asthma symptoms. And the doctor didn't even care what she was doing. He didn't even want to know. He didn't go, oh, wow, Jody, it was amazing that, 18 years I've been treating you for asthma by giving you these drugs to manage it, not to heal it,
Right.
not to cure it,
Right.
not to help your body resolve it, just to manage it. And then you've had all these side effects. And then you were able to reverse it with diet nutrition in less than a month. Oh, wow, please teach me how, because obviously what I'm doing is not working. No, he absolutely did not want to hear that. And so many times I've heard this over and over again where someone will be on the protocol that Jen teaches, and their type 2 diabetes that the doctors have been treating for years has reversed, like mine. Their A1C is now normal. The doctor says, yeah, you can get off all your medications. Let's take you off metformin. And then the person goes, well, do you want to know what I did?
And they say no.
No, they don't care. A lot of MDs, I'm sure individually are really nice people, but they're taught to believe in the drug model.
Right.
So it's like if you go into a jewelry store, they're going to sell you diamonds.
Right.
Right? If you go into an MD, they're going to sell you
Drugs.
Be surprised if they don't. I remember a few years ago when I lived in Vegas, I had like a 4 out of 10 pain in my abdomen, and it was like during menstrual cycle. And I was complaining about it to my doctor. I was just sort of letting him know. I was like, man, what is, wow, this is like more painful than normal. And he wrote me a narcotic script. I was like, dude, I don't need that. I was just letting you know, like, these are symptoms that are happening in my life. And an MD will go, oh, well, let's give you some drugs.
Right.
Whereas a naturopath, Dr. Molly says, a healthy woman, should have a period with 0 symptoms. You should not have chocolate cravings. You should not have mood swings. You should not have cramps. Cramps are a sign of magnesium deficiency. Same with chocolate cravings. And the mood swings are blood sugar related and hormones out of balance.
Right.
And hormones are out of balance when we have high stress levels, when we don't have enough healthy cholesterol, which are the building blocks of our hormones. So an MD's not taught this.
Not at all.
MDs are taught a lot of, we love MDs because they will save us if we cut off our arm or something,
Of course, they have a great place.
Sometimes we need, occasionally we might need an antibiotic. But there's a lot we can do without. We don't have to run to the antibiotics. As Dr. Megan taught, we can take elderberry extract. There's so many different things that we can do to avoid even those drugs. But it's good. It's good to have that emergency care, right? It's good to have the emergency room when we need it. But why are we going to a medicine that is only going to manage symptoms, not going to heal the body from within? And what Jen teaches is how, on a cellular level, how to nourish every cell in the body so the body works optimally. So your knee doesn't break down. So your knee will actually heal itself. I know several people who have reversed their arthritis, who had bone-on-bone arthritis. I know a guy who had chronic back pain, and he thought he had arthritis in his back, and he was doing everything under the sun for back pain, and he just got on one of the multi-spectrum supplements that's designed to nourish the body for all the minerals, and that took care of his pain, because what he didn't know is that he had muscle spasms from a lack of calcium magnesium. And restless leg syndrome drives me crazy. All restless leg syndrome is a mineral deficiency. The muscles, when you study how muscles work, they need minerals. That's how the muscles work.
Right.
They need minerals to function.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't know if I should say this, but that's okay. I will. You know, I've been working in the Pilates, right, for years, and I have so many of my clients. There's two things that drive me crazy. I'll just share this because I really hope people take this seriously. It's actually very scary. They should take it seriously. There's two things that people complain about all the time that actually scare me. It brings me to tears. One is muscle cramps constantly. Because that's not just a muscle problem. You can have a heart attack. You can die. You know, you don't realize that when the body gives you these little tiny symptoms, I'm not talking about an occasional muscle cramp because you might have, you know, whatever. I'm talking about people who get them consistently. Consistently, the body's trying to tell you something, you know, and that's one thing. The other thing that drives me crazy is I have a lot of women who cannot remember anything from one week to the next. And I'm thinking to myself, you are a walking case of Alzheimer's ready to happen here. Please go home and eat, you know, full fat dairy. Stop being on such an anti-fat diet. And please, at least, you know, if you're not going to eat steak and salmon and some of these things that are naturally occurring, high omega oils, please supplement. All you have to do is take a really good omega, you know, but you got to feed your brain some fat because it's scary. And I actually can't say anything. I want to, but in that situation, I actually can't because it's just a conflict of, you know, professional interest or whatever, right. But it, you know, I don't have the liberty to.
Yeah, at the studio you work at, your hands are tied, which is frustrating because I know you're such a truthful person that you've had to
reel it in a little bit.
Well, at times you've had to sort of sneak behind the management's back and whisper to people like, please research calcium, magnesium, right. Or please research, and like, you know, because it's painful when you see the answer.
I just try to say, at least please, you know, consider this. And most of the time, honestly, you know, there's people who have ears to hear and there's people who don't. But it's just, you cannot make a horse drink. You can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink. But it's very frustrating to know that something so simple can help people.
Yeah.
And, you know, I felt terrible for this one gentleman on the other day. It's like, you know, he's telling me the story about this cortisone and all this stuff, and I'm like, you know what? And I wanted to say to him, and I did say to him maybe in some ways, I said, please reach out if you want to do something. You know, he was like not able to do something for whatever reason. I said, because if you don't do anything, you know, what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So you know what? I'm here to help you at whatever level you can do something. You know, I told him at least please look into changing your diet. You know, because with type 2 diabetes, that's like incredibly important.
Right. But the problem is that we say to people, change your diet. Like when I had diabetes, it's like, well,
they don't know what to do.
I knew I should change my diet.
People
but
don't know what to do.
I thought, oh, I just need to eat whole grains. The more I followed in my 20s, the more I followed the food pyramid,
the worse it got.
I was in Canada at the time, but our food pyramid was the same as the American food pyramid. It was because, you know, Canada also subsidizes wheat. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, that's what they want you eating. And I went on a whole wheat diet, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I even went vegan for a while, but all I ate was whole wheat pasta.
I mean, if somebody wants to be vegan, they really need to be extra careful about how to do stuff, because if you're not careful, you're going to end up just eating a whole bunch of grains and
processed food.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. If you want to get healthy, avoid the processed food. But there are specific things, and Jen,
there's real specific things that needs to be done. Like the gentleman I spoke to on the phone, I interviewed him. What are you eating? The guy with the diabetes and the knee problems and all this inflammation. I said, what are you actually eating? And when he told me what he was eating 3 times a day, I thought, you know what? You actually really need my help. If you can't even afford to do this, because that was part of the issue with him, he could not afford it. I said, you know, please, at least let me help you with the diet part. You know. The supplements are hugely important, but getting rid of some certain things are equally as important.
What I've seen is that when people get on the supplements, your protocol specifically because of how well it works, and they start to get their energy, mental clarity back, then they actually are more motivated to change their diet. I've seen it several times. Because when you're feeling exhausted, you don't have the energy or the drive or the desire to make healthy choices. You just want the pleasure of
You wanna feel
eating that
better now.
crappy food that gives you instant gratification, and you already feel bad.
Yep.
So you don't care that processed food is going to make you also continue to feel bad.
Right.
But when you start taking the supplements, I've seen so many people who eat a bad diet take the supplements and start feeling so good
Yes.
that they slowly make these changes in their diet, and then one day they turn around and they're like me, only eating organic whole foods, and I feel absolutely amazing.
I think one person that just came to mind is one of the first people I helped, actually, was a friend of ours, actually, that he was drinking 12 or so cups of coffee a day, eating at Wendy's all the time, chronically depressed. I mean, almost scary. And
I know who you're talking
yeah.
about, and he looked like gray.
Remember,
His
he looked
skin
gray.
Looked, it was
Exactly.
The Walking Dead.
It was the Walking Dead. It was the Walking Dead. And we said, just try this. And his attitude was, and I said to him, do you want to throw in the bus? Do you want to throw the bus at this thing? Or do you, and he said, I want to throw the bus at this thing. So we got started with him, there's ways, there's always good, better, and best, right? So we can help anybody on any level. But he said, I want to go for it. You tell me exactly what I need. Don't hold back. Money was really tight for him at the time, but he realized the value, and he knew that he had no choice, because what he was currently doing wasn't working, and he was spending a heck of a lot of money eating out at Wendy's and coffees and yada yada, right? So I really don't even think he ended up spending more money in the end. But he said, let's do it. Let's do it right. I said, great, let's do it. We did it to his body weight. We got him some extra things that needed to support what he was going on with him. And I don't know that it was 2 weeks, maybe a week before I saw him again, and he just looked like an entirely different person. And because he had such great results, he also took the diet so seriously. And he stopped all fast food. He got off everything we told him to get off. And he did some of the things that we recommend that people increase in terms of food.
Yep.
And he did it really, really diligently. And the guy is a completely different person.
Yep.
And it was so fast.
The first month that my husband and I got on the program that you teach, we actually saved $200 in our grocery bill. Like, we were on a budget, and we got on the supplements, and then we saved $200 in our grocery bill that month. Because I was looking at the budget, and I realized we were just eating less.
Right.
We just weren't as hungry.
Exactly.
Because when you take in nutrition, you're not as hungry.
That's why people tell me all the time that they just naturally lose weight, because they literally do not need as much food. And their cravings start to go away. And so it's just been an incredible ride so far, but I feel very sad, and that people don't do something very simple. I just think I think it's an accident waiting to happen. Because I've seen,
Yeah.
and I've even seen it in my own family. I mean, I've seen, my mom's really, really healthy, and she's always eaten really, really well, but she has not supplemented in the kind of way my dad has. And I just see the difference. She's had she's doing great, but she's had to have 2 hip replacements. She lost a lot of her teeth. Certain things have happened that are clearly a massive, massive mineral deficiency.
Yeah. My dad had high blood pressure, and he wasn't managing it. On and off, he'd be on the medication, but he wasn't managing it. And he died of sudden heart failure right after Christmas,
Wow.
2008. I got the phone call from the sheriff.
Oh,
They
my
found
goodness.
him in a hotel room. And that was the biggest, that was so painful to me. He was about, in a few weeks he was going to come down and visit and meet my husband for the first time, and just to go from one day, I have high blood pressure, whatever, I'll deal with it, to dead.
Right.
And he sort of was like all of us, had that attitude of, it's not really that important, I don't feel it. It's not, I don't feel it, so it's, okay, yeah, I have high blood pressure, whatever. And then sometimes, like I said, sometimes he'd take medication, sometimes he wouldn't. But medication, if you're going to blow a gasket, if you're 180 over 100, and take the blood pressure medication, because it's like get that under control. but the medication is just going to mask the problem. The problem is your body is actually lacking certain nutrients. A car without oil is going to seize.
That's
A
right.
car without gas is not going to run. Right? A car without with hoses that are leaking isn't going to run optimally.
Yeah.
And the body is the same way. And there's really simple changes nutritionally that will give the body healthy blood pressure.
Yeah. Well, and I think we want to be real clear for the listeners to say, look, if you're on medication, please don't misunderstand what we're saying here. If you're on medication, you need to stay on your medication. Only your doctor and your pharmacist can take you off of that. But what we're saying is that at the end of the day, my husband is exactly the same way. He is not on blood pressure medication anymore. When we first started this program, he was on a medication for blood pressure and had been for the last few years before. And he wasn't able to go off of it right away. He didn't go off of it right away. That would have been stupid. We didn't do that. It was he would check his blood pressure regularly. He was on the supplements, but he knew intuitively, because after 4 days, his hand that had shaken as a benign tremor since he was a child stopped shaking. And so he was drawn intuitively to just keep increasing. He knew one of the parts of the package that you're talking about that he knew he needed, and that happened to be the same one that also helps with blood pressure. And so within a very short amount of time, he was able to go down to half and so forth like that. And then eventually a doctor take him completely off of it. But so we're not saying, you need to just throw your drugs away. That's stupid. That's dangerous. Don't do that. But we are saying that look into the fact that, first of all, remember that drugs they're originally designed based on nature. It's just that they've been so altered that they are missing components and things like that. They're synthetic.
Yep.
So, remember that there's an actual source in nature that God gave us on the planet to be able to, keep us well and healthy. And that's what we're all about.
Yeah, so like pain medication, willow bark, having the natural pain-reducing properties.
Of aspirin.
It also has a constituent in it that if you consume too much willow bark, you'll throw up, and that's to prevent you from overdosing on the pain decreasing properties. Because if you take too much of that, if you take too much aspirin, you go blind. And I actually know a guy who had a toothache on Friday, and the dentist wasn't available till Monday, so he just mowed down on aspirin, thinking, well, it's natural, it's from willow bark, and he actually caused himself to go blind temporarily.
Oh dear.
He had aspirin toxicity. It's that easy. One Costco-sized bottle of aspirin, and 2 days later he was blind. He was just munching down on the pain meds. So if he had been doing willow bark, it would have helped with the pain, and then if he had taken too much, the willow bark would have made him throw up, just to prevent taking too much. So drugs are synthetic, mimicked from tinctures and herbs, and so you can go back to those herbs. You can go to a naturopath, and they can put you on herbs that have the same healing properties without the side effects.
And also, sometimes people should go to a naturopath if it's complicated, but they can also work with us, because we also work with herbs, with herbal tinctures that support the other nutrition that we're talking about. So we have a line of herbs that are just amazing, actually, in terms of supporting the body from, with herbs, as well as vitamins and minerals and
absolutely.
so forth.
I love there's a nerve, and at first I didn't understand the nerve tincture, because I thought it was like nerve, like, am I nervous? And then Dr. Megan said, you take this at night, it calms your nerves, and it's great for people who are in pain, but it's also great for people who just really need to calm down at night. My biggest problem is I'm so amped up, I have so much energy at night that I'll overextend myself. And of course, I have to be up at 6 a.m. because I've got a toddler who's like, the world's most expensive alarm clock.
Right.
And so I should go to bed earlier. And I take this great nerve tincture that you sell, and I immediately feel calm. I don't feel drowsy. I mean, if an emergency happened, I could immediately get up and respond to it. But it just turns off that extra gas, so I can unwind naturally, slowly. I love that one, and I love the adrenal support one because the licorice root, and there's other properties in there, but the licorice root extends the half-life of the cortisol, so that I take during the day, and it just gives me great natural energy. I don't need to drink coffee. Can you imagine, there are people out there who are addicted and need coffee to function, and if they were to just take this herbal tincture, it would give them better energy, more energy, because it supports the organs of the body.
Yeah, I don't think there's just a couple people out there that need coffee. I think there's
Millions?
Yeah, especially in this region.
Yep, Seattle is definitely the
I was in Everett the other day, and I drove, or Marysville, and every single corner had one of those cute little coffee huts on it. I thought, my goodness, I thought this was a different kind of drug capital, but anyway, I was like, really, this is crazy. We should be having little huts. I had this vision. I never told you about this. I had this idea. Can I tell you what it is?
Yeah.
It was one of my, like, write it down, aha kind of things. I wanted to do something called, at the time I wanted to do something called the Immunity Hut. And I didn't think that was a great name, but I had a vision for a business idea, which was to put these little huts, like similar to those little coffee cute, how they make them really cute, the little coffee beehive or whatever, right? The little shacks. I wanted to make those like in the mall, at the airport, and things like that, where people could come in and they could get a really healthy drink with all kinds of nutritional, somebody will probably take this idea and do it. They should,
Do it.
It's like, right? And so if I was doing that, of course, I'd use the nutrition that I work with, and they could go to before they get on the plane and whatever, they can have a fantastic, immune boosting, cellular energy, overall well-being shake. And not get sick from everybody that's on the plane, and I mean, and they can get an extra immune boosting thing. And so, see, I always thought, and it should be called the Immunity Hut, because in the wintertime when people are getting colds and flu, it's like, they really need to know how to support their immune system.
Yeah, but they need more than just one shake. I mean, they need it every day.
They do.
And that's what that is also what you teach.
Every day.
Is that it's really easy because some of your nutrition comes in liquid form, which actually tastes really good.
Oh, yes.
And it's all plant derived, which I thought was really cool. Your supplements are plant derived, and they're third party tested. The lab has there's a third party lab, so the lab is not in cahoots with the supplement company, and they test it for quality. And it's all bioavailable. I heard that the Dr. Wallach said it's their calcium is 97% bioavailable, which means absorbed by the body, whereas others are not. And I feel it when I take the CalMag multi-mineral supplement. I take it at night, and I feel all my muscles relax. I love that. And then when I drink the multivitamin, trace mineral, amino acid, and probiotic drink in the day, I feel it. It's like a boost of energy from the B vitamins. I just feel nourished. I love it, and it makes so much sense that it's liquid, because then you're absorbing it throughout the day.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, you've done so much for so many people. You helped someone with MS.
So actually, that isn't someone that I helped. It's somebody who I knew who was also doing the same protocol that that I'm working with. Somebody who'd been on the protocol, and but this person completely and totally reversed their symptoms of MS. Completely. Like when I met this person, the year before I met this person, she couldn't walk down to the mailbox and pick up her mail. When I met her, she was 100% functioning.
Wow.
And it took, I think it was in 6 months she started to really notice a huge difference. I mean, it is not an overnight, although people do notice the beginning of things happening very quickly. The body does need some time to repair itself and so forth like that. But she was, in 1 year, she was symptom free and has remained that way.
Awesome.
So it's very motivational when you start to, it's motivational at least for people anyway when they start to feel anything. Because so many people are doing stuff that they don't know if it's working. Am I taking vitamins? Sure, I'm taking my vitamins every day. My wife gives them to me. I don't know. I've got expensive pee, That's pretty much the story, and that was my story too. I was like, I was doing all this stuff, but I didn't know if it was really making a difference. But when I started with this particular program that's so bioavailable, there was just no question. you know, and so.
Yeah, and so if you hadn't listened to the episode that we did, the previous episodes we did with Jen, she went from having such a profound experience with these supplements that then she took it upon herself to learn from the doctor who created them and became almost like a coach, a supplement coach, or like a nutritional trainer in this program. And so she works with people. Not only does she do it for herself and her family, but she works with people and helps them get on the program that this doctor created that has helped so many thousands of people. And in my life, I feel very blessed to have had it, because if it wasn't for this doctor, I wouldn't have gotten pregnant. I was told when I was 19 I would never be able to have kids, and I had really bad case of polycystic ovarian syndrome, and really bad hormones, like just never having a cycle since I was 19. Very, very irregular cycle. And when I met with this doctor, got on his protocol, and my husband and I had been trying to get pregnant. I mean, we were, you know, even though I was told I couldn't, you know,
hope.
You try, right?
You have hope.
You have hope that you could. And we tried for 6 years, and we got on this doctor's protocol, and it was, we just followed. First, we followed the diet and the nutrition, just the foundation stuff, and then we got so much results from that. And then we added on, because he explained the importance of really you want to nutrify your body for like a year before you get pregnant, because that baby's gonna suck everything out of you. And my Dr. Molly was my is my pediatrician, but was also my doctor throughout my pregnancy, because she's a naturopathic midwife. And she said that the baby sucks up all your iron and stores it in their liver, because they don't get iron. They're not fed iron for about a year. If you think about it, breast milk doesn't contain iron. Formula should not contain high amounts of iron. They're not really going to get iron until they start eating enough solids, so to be able to supplement. So their body has to suck up enough of your iron from you and store it in them to make their red blood cells for like a year.
Wow.
Or more in some cases. And so that's why just one of the nutrients.
Right.
And then they have to, the fetus has to build bones. And so they're sucking up all your calcium. And a lot of pregnant women experience muscle cramps and experience constipation. I didn't have any of the regular symptoms that women have when they're pregnant. I didn't have swelling legs or ankles. I didn't have problems sleeping. I didn't have problems with energy. It was amazing. I didn't have heartburn. I didn't have indigestion, because I nutrified my body. And then I got on once I did that, I got on the Dr. Welk's protocol for balancing my hormones and getting pregnant. And sure enough, it was, we were surprised how fast it worked. I thought maybe I had the flu when I was actually experiencing morning sickness, because it worked so fast. It was like the first try we got pregnant. And then I got on the protocol for the prenatal nutrition, which just supported me so that I didn't have any of those symptoms. What drives me crazy is that we are taught that these symptoms are normal, but they're not. It's like if you were to drive your car and your car made a sound like, right? You know, if your car made this like grinding metal sound, and everyone you went to said, "Oh, that's because you have a car. Cars just make that sound." You'd go, "Oh, that's okay.
That's normal.
That's normal. Cars just make that sound." This is like the insanity that we're being taught. You know, you don't have swelling ankles just because you have ankles. Like you don't have, heartburn just because you have a stomach.
Right.
And because you're pregnant. Oh, pregnancy causes heartburn. Well, actually, you could, supplement with digestive enzymes. You can make sure you have enough of the nutrients that support stomach acid. Yes, I understand that the progesterone, the high hormone levels have an effect on the smooth muscle, and so that the gut slows down. And then women get constipated. But the gut's slowing down because it wants to absorb as much nutrition for the baby. If you give your body enough nutrition,
Right.
the gut doesn't need to slow down.
Exactly.
And then you won't get it. So there's if you have any symptom in your life and you're upset about it, seasonal allergies.
Right.
We're out here among the pollen,
Right.
and we're fine.
Right.
The people who have allergies have been sold a lie. They've been told that they have allergies, because maybe it's because it's genetic, or some people just get them. If you have allergies, it's a symptom of a really bad underlying issue, because your immune system is reacting to something that is not a threat.
Right.
And that means that your immune system is compromised. It's there's a lot of inflammation going on. And with naturopaths can naturopathic medicine, through nutrition and through the nutrition you teach as well, through the diet nutrition you teach as well, you can get rid of seasonal allergies.
Oh yeah, I've been able to actually eradicate I had some mild little, there's certain things I have to stay away from that are food allergies that I know about, but I've been able to figure out what I have to do. What's really nice about the nutrition that I work with too is that if people have a ton of different symptoms, because some people do, they've got allergies and fibromyalgia and 20 other things going on, is that what we notice is that when they get on the basic program, sometimes, we don't have to start them on everything for all of their symptoms. They just get on the basic program, they get off the foods that are causing inflammation and extra problems, and within a couple of months, it's almost like the smoke screen clears some, and we can see, okay, this is what's still going on. What do we need to address? It just sort of takes away some of this massive confusion of everything going haywire.
Yeah, because for me, I just got on the foundation nutrition, and so many of my symptoms cleared up because the symptoms were simply from just a lack of nutrition, which really is scary when you think about it. I thought I was eating healthy, but we don't get our trace minerals from our food anymore because they don't remineralize the soil.
Right.
If you think about where your food comes from, even if your food comes from a locally sourced, organic, very healthy farm, if they don't remineralize the soil, that soil would become deplete eventually. And because we've been farming our soil for hundreds of years, think about Europe, where they've been farming their soil for much longer. And we've been farming our soil to the point where the nutrients have been deplete. Now, we replace NPK, which basically a plant can live off of water, sunlight, and NPK.
And that's for listeners, that's nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. 3 minerals that the plant needs to survive, but our body needs way more than that.
Our body needs 60 minerals.
Yep.
And that are essential, meaning the body can't create them and the body needs them to function. And they're trace minerals. A lot of them are trace minerals. So it's like we don't have to have tons of them, but we do need them. And what they used to do a long time ago, before the electric stove, and this is what I thought was really interesting, was that when we asked Dr. Wallach, well, why do we need to supplement? He said, over 100 years ago, before the electric stove, we used to cook with wood ash. Wood ash is minerals.
Right.
And then we would put it back in our garden.
Exactly.
So we would remineralize our soil. Everyone had a garden. A lot of people had a garden. And we would also bake with the minerals as well. And if you look at old recipe books, it calls for wood ash being put into the bread. And so we would continue to get our minerals up until when the electric stove happened.
And things like, people used to do things with chicken bones, and now that's kind of coming back with bone broth and stuff like that. People knowing that they need that. So, Grandma used to cook with the chicken fat and the chicken bones. You'd chop them up and put them in the chicken soup, and you know what I mean. So they understood the concept of remineralizing. And with modern day food, it's just not.
Yeah, it's just like Dr. Megan talked about how our food is just sanitized. There's no healthy bacteria or no healthy cultures in it. So we don't have any gut support, any digestive support. It's sterilized. A lot of our food is sterilized.
Yeah, I think the main message, to get across to people is, A, if you don't know what to do and you're confused, let us help you make it simple. And then the second message is do something. And don't just, I know people don't, sometimes when people don't see a problem, it's just not a concern. So they're just continuing to eat and feed their kids and whatever. But unfortunately, pay attention. You know, pay attention to the numbers of young athletes that are dropping dead. Pay attention to children coming up with cancer, and you know, pay attention to the things that there are accidents waiting to happen, and you can make a really small change, very simple, and make a huge difference in terms of prevention and longevity. So
Yeah, if you get an oil change for your car, you're preventing your car from seizing up. Why aren't you using preventive medicine to prevent cancer or a heart attack, or because
arthritis.
Those conditions are a lot more painful than your car seizing up. But we haven't been taught to think like that, so now we have to start to change the way we think.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Jen,
You're
for being on
welcome.
the show.
My pleasure.
I was so grateful to have found the program that you teach when I was sick. And I mean, I'd been living like that for years, so I didn't even know how bad I was. I didn't think I was really sick. I was just kind of tired of feeling tired. And it was like night and day for me. But I had so much mental fog from the adrenal fatigue and from the blood sugar issues. That when I got on the protocol that you work with, I mean, within 5 days, I got my energy back. I got better sleep. I got more energy. I got more mental clarity. My blood sugar began to stabilize within 5 days.
Right. Me too. 5 days. It was on the 5th day that I noticed something. I thought, my husband and I were both looking at each other. You feel anything yet? 5 days, both of us.
Yeah.
So for the first 4 days, we were just sucking it up, and we're starting to repair, I guess. I mean, we're still doing that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a little minute before the body comes online and says, "Yes, I'm getting what I need."
Awesome. Well, thank you. If you're interested in getting on Jen's protocol, I highly recommend doing it. It has made a big difference in my life and my healing. And many of my friends and family have gotten on the protocol that Jen teaches and have seen amazing results. There is just such a simple way to do it and there is a 30-day money-back guarantee, although I know very few people have ever taken advantage of that. But it's good just to know it's there.
Yeah.
So, because you can't take, a few $100s worth of supplements at GNC and then just return empty bottles 30 days later and wherever you buy your supplements from and be like, okay, give me my money back. I took all these bottles, but give me my money back because they didn't do anything for me. Whereas the company you work with does because it works, because they believe in it so much.
Yep, empty bottles. Yep.
Another thing is that when I first started on the protocol that you work with, I wanted to see if I could buy it locally from one of the stores because I'd run out, and instead of ordering more, I went to the local supplement barn, and they have this wall of liquid CalMags at the back, like wall. And so I took my empty bottle of the one that you sell because it works.
Right.
And I know it because it works, because after a month of taking it, I had such an amazing results. I didn't want to stop taking it
without it, right?
And so I looked at this wall and I compared because I knew at that point, I remembered I needed to get the specific kind of calcium that was bioavailable, and maybe I could find something similar. I spent a half an hour looking at every single bottle and reading the labels. My husband calls me the label reader. He just stands there like so frustrated. I'm the label reader. And I could not find one that was comparable. The closest thing I could find was something that I had to buy 4 bottles of.
Right.
I just spent over $80 to make up for the one bottle, and it didn't even have all the trace minerals in it. It was just basically CalMag. And then we ended up taking that and did not get the results.
Yeah.
We didn't get the same, great sleep. The muscle cramps started coming back. Like I was amazed. And so then we ordered again from the company that you work with. And that was 5 years ago. And we've never missed a month taking it.
Well, one thing I just want to mention to the listeners is that, the way that I work with people is that the time that I spend to help them, teach them the basic program is actually free. So they don't have to pay, they don't pay for their time doing that. That's something that I volunteer and do. And then the way that I get paid is that when they purchase the supplements, I get a proportion of that, a commission on that. So people shouldn't be afraid that they're going to have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars consulting with me. Their money is going to, we want them to spend their money on the supplements so they can get the help that they need. So I just wanted to mention that too, just in terms of logistics.
Yeah, and I love that because it's kind of complicated to go to nutritionists, and you have to schedule an appointment and drive somewhere and meet with the stranger. Whereas with you work with people all around the world.
I do,
and you talk to them over the phone and through email and text.
And it's very simple, and it's not that it's not complicated. It's so simple that we take maybe a half an hour and find out what's going on with somebody and make some recommendations, and they're off to the races. So, and sometimes it takes a little longer. But the other thing is that I like to follow up with people. I like them to get back in touch with me and say, hey, I think maybe I need to make some tweaks. Great, what's going on, and so being there to support them through the process as well is part of what we do also.
Yeah. Well, anyone that calls you is lucky because you have such a big heart. You really care about people and want to see them get well, and I know that is like soul food for you.
Yes, it is, definitely.
Yeah.
It is, for sure.
So if as a listener, if you have been confused around supplements like I was, and then you want to get on, do you want some guidance around getting on some great quality supplements that are affordable, that also come with Jen giving some fantastic coaching, you can email Jen, Jennifer at takeyoursupplements.com. And she will get back to you and help you and bring you supplement clarity.
Supplement clarity.
Yeah.
Yay.
So thank you so much for coming back on the show to talk about supplements, which I'm really passionate about. And, when I was a kid, I was on Dr. Diademo's supplements. And I remember we were on vacation, and I had my supplements in my little Ziploc bag that my mom packed for me. Because no matter where I went, I took them with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was so healthy as a kid, too. Like, I never, ever, ever got sick until I rebelled in my teenage years and started eating junk food and got off the supplements. But when I was on Dr. Diademo's protocol, who, if you don't know who he is, he wrote the book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type. Yeah, it was the father, not the son. They were both naturopaths. And so I had my little baggie with me. I was, I don't know, maybe 11. I was, very proud of myself. And I found some girls at the beach because we were on vacation to play with, and we stopped to have lunch, and I was taking my supplements, and all three of them started just basically shaming me for taking them. And they said, I just met them. We're just how kids just play with each other. And all three of them said, God created the world to be perfect, and you don't need supplements because God made food to nourish you, and they had this whole argument about how supplements were bad because God put all the nutrition in food, and I was just, and I'm, as an 11-year-old, like as a kid, I'm going, I started to question my reality because I'm going, wait a second, well, I've never been sick since I started these supplements. I've never been sick. My family's never been sick. We're really healthy. I feel good, and all of a sudden these strangers are telling me that God doesn't want me to take supplements. So, I mean, in the minds of kids, right? Because they probably heard that from their parents, and then Dr. Wallach, who's very religious, talks about how the way that the farming practices are, and the way that the way that God created the earth is that its minerals are displaced. They're not all evenly, among the soil, but Dr. Wallach, actually, I heard his lecture on tape when I was a kid.
Oh, no kidding.
I was about 12 years old, and my mom got a copy of it. And so his words came at the right time because it reassured me
that you were on the right
path.
I
was on the right path. And so anyway,
great.
And then I fell off because I was a teenager and I did stupid teenage things. But now I'm back on the path. So
that's right.
Anyway, so it's
important.
It's interesting.
Super important.
A lot of times, I've seen a friend get on supplements and then their family will shame them. Or, other friends will go, oh, why are you taking that crap? You don't need that. And so I think that we come up against this in our holistic health journey. The second and this is actually, if you study archetypes, it's the devil archetype is we are, the second we set out on a new path, we actually will be challenged. Our resolve will be challenged. And that's that in the archetype that's called devil card. And so when you get on a new protocol, whether you go gluten-free, do you know how much gluten shaming I've had since going gluten-free? And so if you're weak, your resolve is weak, you will be challenged and you will fail. But if your resolve is strong and you understand, so just know this: when you make a change in your life, family and friends or complete strangers at the beach will try to push you off of your path. Whether it's a spiritual path that you've chosen to go on, whether it's a changing your diet, whether it's a diet. Have you noticed that when you start going to the gym, you start dieting, all of a sudden, birthday cake shows up at the office, or, it might not even be one particular person shaming you or questioning you. It might be just that temptation shifts you. And so just know that the devil card, or the second you put yourself out there to shift something in your life towards a goal, there's going to be resistance. And that resistance may come in the form of friends and family, and that's really, really hard when it's a loved one because you want their acceptance.
Right.
But it also may come in the form of complete strangers, or just come in the form of just a birthday cake showing up at the office. And so just expect that, and then keep going on your path. Keep doing it, because it might take a year or more, but I have seen those come around. Those people who were the most resistant, the naysayers come around. And you just need to stick on your path and be strong. So get on Jen's supplements, try it, get on the diet that she recommends. It's actually it's easier than you think. Mm-hmm. The results are so worth it, so amazing. And then when the people come up to resist you, to test your resolve, to push you off your path, just stay true. Stay true to your course, and the results will be there for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Excellent. Awesome. Well, it's so great to be here again and be in this lovely day and earthing with you.
Yeah.
My feet on the ground.
Feet on the grass. And my challenge to you is get your feet on the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take some deep breaths and get grounded in what your body needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. This has been great. Thanks for being here, Jen.
You betcha.
Are you looking to optimize your health? Are you looking to get the best supplements at the lowest price? For high quality supplements, and to talk to someone about what supplements are best for you, go to takeyoursupplements.com, and one of our fantastic true health coaches will help you pick out the right supplements for you that are the highest quality and the best price. That's takeyoursupplements.com. takeyoursupplements.com. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Be sure to ask about free shipping and our awesome referral program.